Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of 3Y. I'm your host, Randy Crawford. Tonight, we will be reviewing the Daytona Duels, which just wrapped up. We'll be taking a look at who locked themselves into the field and those that were unable to and are headed home. We will also be taking a look at Ford's strong showing and what that could mean for them come Sunday. Also, we saw our first live pit stops with the single lug wheels. How did that look time-wise versus the pit stops we were used to? We'll also be taking a look ahead at Friday's truck race and Saturday's Xfinity race. Who might be the ones to watch in those? Also, we'll be talking about some late silly season news in the Xfinity Series involving Joe Gibbs Racing. So let's get started. All right, so tonight was the duels that sets the field for the Daytona 500. In each duel, you had two drivers, open cars, that were trying to lock themselves into the field. In race number one, it was Kaz Gralla and J.J. Yeley. Another open car in that race was Noah Gragson, but he had locked himself in with his qualifying time, so he could immediately go to the back as soon as the green flag fell, and he would be safe. Some things to watch in the races tonight were going to be the new bumpers on the back of these new cars. The rear bumpers are now more round than they have been. They have been a lot more flat in previous cars, making it easier for bump drafting and less likely to see wrecks with blocks. But with these new round bumpers, what would that mean for bump drafting? How easy would it be to wreck if you threw a block and it was too late? Also, another thing to watch was how were the races going to be? You had owners, teams that only brought one car. They didn't have backups, a lot of big-name teams. So what was that going to mean for the races? Were we going to see a tame duel, or were they still going to be racing for it all? Because you did have points on the line. So that was another thing to take into account. You had drivers like Joey Logano and Michael McDowell pretty much saying that they were not going to change how they raced. They wanted the win. They wanted the trophy. And both of those were in one single duel, and that was definitely the craziest ending one of the night. But going back to race number one, you had early two-wide racing from the get-go, but then it got single file real quick. From the beginning, it looked like J.J. Yeley was the one in trouble. He lost the draft early, and it was he had about a 10 to 15-second gap between him and Kaz Gralla. But then he was able to get some help with B.J. McLeod, some draft help. And Kaz Gralla lost his. So now the script started flipping on them around lap 23, 24. Then you had the drivers coming in for their first pit stops of the season and the first live pit stops for the single lugs. When the Chevys came in first in the group, they mostly did 4-tire stops, which looked like average time was 12.6 seconds. So not a a couple seconds faster than what we normally see. And then the Fords came in after that. They mainly did 2-tire stops, which completely flipped the running order. It put all the Ford drivers in the front with a good gap between them and the Chevy drivers. Going back to the open cars, Kaz Gralla, he went from being pretty safe in his spot to pretty much it was a done deal that he was not going to make the field. He was too fast exiting pit road, so that was a drive-through penalty, which put him 2 laps down to the leaders, while J.J. Yeley, he was just 1 lap down, a couple positions ahead of Kaz. So there towards the end, you had, as I said, the Ford drivers kind of have a breakaway, and with the green flag runs, no cautions, they were able to put a lot of drivers a lap down, including J.J. Yeley, who then went 2 laps down. And this is coming right to the end. This is in the last 2-3 laps. So they lapped J.J. Yeley a second time, and Kaz Gralla has snuck his way into that lead pack. So as they're going behind and lapping him, putting him on the same lap as Kaz was able to get by him on the last lap and lock his position into the Daytona 500, sending J.J. Yeley home. So there at the end, you had Brad Keselowski make a late pass on Ryan Blaney, do a slingshot move with this new car, and get the win, which is huge for him, for that team. especially after their showing in the Clash at the Coliseum. It's going to be a huge morale booster. And honestly, this is going to be one of the best chances that Brad or Chris Buescher have at winning a race and locking themselves into the playoffs. It's going to be these super speedway races. It's where they excel at. It's definitely puts everyone across the board on a even level. So this is their shot, and Brad took a big first step with winning his Clash race and making the move that he did to get there. So from there, we go to race number 2 on the night. As far as the open cars, you had Greg Biffle going against Timmy Hill, trying to get that spot in the Daytona 500. Another open driver in that field was Jacques Villeneuve, former Formula One champion, Indy 500 champion, who had locked himself into the field with his qualifying time. So he, like Noah Gragson, could just hang back and just keep the car clean so he can be in the race Sunday. From the get-go, the race between Greg Biffle and Timmy Hill, that seemed to be settled pretty early. Timmy Hill, I don't know whether he lost the draft or just didn't have the speed from the get-go. He went a lap down early, and it just didn't get any better for him from there. And this was another race. You had a lot of Ford drivers, and it was another Ford-dominated race. You did have the Dillon brothers, Austin and Ty, get up there and get to the front. Didn't last long. Before long, Ford had 5 of the top 6 positions. The only non-Ford driver was Ricky Stenhouse in a Chevy. He was running second. But other than that, it was an all-Ford race. Coming to pit road at Daytona, we normally see drivers lock up the wheel, spin out. That's when you can see accidents happen. Happened in Duel number 2 with Denny Hamlin. Coming down pit road, he seemed to lock up his front tires, sent him spinning into the infield grass. He was able to spin it back onto pit road, avoid getting hit or hitting any cars or making any damage to the vehicle. However, that pretty much ended his night. From there, took away any chance he had at making an impact. And after the pit stops, you had pretty much a 4-car Ford breakaway between Harrison Burton, Chris Buescher, Joey Logano, and Michael McDowell. Kevin Harvick was in that group to begin with, but it just seemed like he struggled to keep up with the draft, especially there at the tail end of the night. Now, whether that was something with his car or what, or making a mental mistake, I'm not sure. It'll be something to keep an eye on Sunday if this is a reoccurring problem. At the end of this race, we had our first crash at a big track with this new car. Chris Buescher in second, laid back on the last lap, and coming out of turn 2, he dove to the bottom to make a pass on Logano for the lead. Logano, seeing it, made a move to block. However, it was just a hair too late, and it got him. Logano spun out, and he went head on into the outside wall, and also got clipped in the rear bumper by Harrison Burton. Overall, the body wise, both cars did not seem that bad. Obviously, Logano's looked worse because he went head on into the wall. But Harrison, even when he clipped him, and he clipped him pretty good, the car still seemed to be in pretty good shape. What it was like mechanically, I'm not sure. So the caution flag immediately comes out. And from there, it was just a matter of waiting on NASCAR to say who won. It was Michael McDowell or Chris Buescher. Which one was ahead when the caution came out? NASCAR determined that Chris Buescher was ahead. So he was able to get the win and sweep the duels for RFK Racing. So that morale boost just doubled with that. Both these drivers will now start 3rd and 4th behind Larson and Bowman. So it was a big day for RFK Racing, and that was good to see. It was good to see Jack Roush back in victory lane. Seems like it's been forever since he's been able to be there. And just did a little statistic looking with the field set up. You had Kyle Larson win his 11th career pole, and then you had Alex Bowman making his 5th straight front row start for the Daytona 500, which I believe is a record. So just looking at the history of this race, The last time a driver won the pole and the race was 2000 with Dale Jarrett. So with tracks like this, Daytona, Talladega, starting up front, it's not like most tracks where you go, it's not like you're going to Martinsville and, hey, you want to start up front so you can be in a good spot and get that track position. Daytona historically is a completely different animal. As I said, it's been now 20, unless Kyle Larson wins, it will have been 22 years since that has happened. A pole winner wins the Daytona 500. And then in the past 5 years, drivers who have won the Daytona 500, only 2 of them have started inside the top 10. Denny Hamlin in 2019 started 10th. Kurt Busch in 2017 started 8th. Other than that, you had Austin Dillon in 18, who started 14th. 2020, Denny Hamlin started 21st. He won. And then last year's race, Michael McDowell won the race, and he started the day 17th. So starting position, while nice, it doesn't guarantee success on the day. You can come and go very quickly at these tracks. And did a little bit more digging, and the last time a Ford driver won the pole was 2012 with Carl Edwards, which is interesting to me because it seems like especially Daytona 500, Fords seem to really show up on race day. Chevy show up on qualifying day, Ford on the race day. And looking and statistically, that's pretty much accurate, not by much. Ford, since 2012, they have had 4 wins. Chevy has had 3, as well as Toyota 3 wins. So it'll be interesting to see if Brad or Chris can make a move and continue that streak and get Ford another win in the 500. Personally, the guy I think that's going to be to watch is Ryan Blaney. He always seems to be right there, so close to winning the 500, but unable to pull it off. I think he gets it done this year. He is definitely my pick. It's always hard to say, Chris Buescher and Keselowski, the way they performed tonight, it'd be hard to pick against them. But 200 laps, 500 miles, a lot can happen. All it takes is one wreck, and your chances are over. So we'll see, and then we'll, which will be easy to happen with the way these cars are. And as we saw with Logano, he made a block just a fraction too late, and it cost him and it cost Harrison Burton. So a lot can change real quick. All right, so looking forward to the Truck Series race on Friday night. Not real sure what to look forward to with this race. All I can say is the Truck Series, it seems to be the race of underdogs. We have a lot of first-time winners or upset winners in this race. I think back to John King, won his only career race at Daytona in the Truck Series. Kaz Gralla was able to win his first career truck race at the season opening Daytona race. You see especially a lot of last lap crashes, like with Christopher Bell flipping, Matt Crafton flipping. It's always a survival game, and it seems like somebody always upsets the crowd or the series with a win. So for me personally, the name that keeps popping in my head to watch is Matt DiBenedetto. He had good runs in the Cup Series, especially there in his last year with the Wood Brothers in the Cup Series. How does that translate to the Truck Series? We're going to find out. But he is definitely one I think to keep an eye on. Parker Kligerman's another one who does well at these super speedway races. Ben Rhodes, the defending winner of this race, he's another guy to watch, and he's also the defending champion. So a few drivers just to keep an eye on. Also, and before I forget, Grant Enfinger coming back full-time this year with GMS. He is a strong super speedway racer, so it's going to be interesting to see who steps up and who gets the win on Friday night. And then the Xfinity race, Saturday. Before I get to talking about it, we had some very late silly season news break loose with Joe Gibbs Racing announced Trevor Bayne coming to do 7 races with them this year in the Xfinity Series. and it was a very popular news break. A lot of people were happy to see that. I know I was, to see him get another shot in a top-tier ride as Joe Gibbs. And kind of out of nowhere, he has not been full-time in in any NASCAR series in a few years, quite a few years. He did do some races for Nice Motorsports in the Truck Series in 2020, I believe, and had some decent runs at Talladega. So it'll be interesting to see, does he have any rust, or can he possibly get a upset win? It would definitely be a popular win, I feel like, with fans if he is able to do it. So high hopes for him in his select races this year. Definitely be fun to watch. But now looking forward to the race Saturday. It's hard to say who a pick is. It's such a talented, deep field. Junior Motorsports seems to own the season opening race at Daytona with wins with drivers such as Tyler Reddick, Noah Gragson, Michael Annett getting his only career win with them, Chase Elliott, I mean, William Byron's won there with them. They're going to be the team to beat. Noah Gregson's still there. I think he may be the favorite. Can Justin Allgaier get up there and add his name to that list? They do have an unknown with Sam Mayer. How is he going to perform? And Josh Berry as well. I can see Josh Berry having a very good day. And also you got Colleague Racing, who show tremendous teamwork no matter who's behind the wheels of those cars. This year it's AJ Allmendinger, Daniel Hemrick, and Landon Castle. And they want to go trophy hunting. They want trophies. So they do really well working together. Can one of them break through and get a win? That'll be fun to watch, see who gets the win there. We don't have Penske in this race. They are the defending winner with Austin Cindric last year, so we are missing that. You also have Joe Gibbs Racing. Can Ty Gibbs keep up the momentum he had from his part-time season last year? It's crazy. They just announced today officially that he is running full-time this year, and I thought that was a given, 8-9 months ago, that he was going to be full-time. So he starts his championship and Rookie of the Year campaign now. So a lot to look forward to with this season as we officially get ready to kick it off. I think it's going to be a very exciting season, going to some different tracks, this new car, and how the racing goes throughout the year will be fun to see. I want to thank y'all for joining me again. I know this is a shorter episode, but like the Clash, just not a lot to review. A lot of speculation about the races this weekend. But I will be back after the Daytona 500 has concluded and all the post-race. So next episode probably drop maybe late Sunday night, Monday morning is my goal. You can find my podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, as well as Google Podcasts. So I am on a handful of platforms there. Feel free to please leave a review. Let me know what you think of the show. Also, you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is the number 3 wide and the number 3 again. That is the number 3, WIDE, and the number 3. Give me a follow. And like I said, Thursday, I'm going to do a midweek episode, normally come out about this time every week. If you have any opinions you want to share about the sport, feel free to send them in. I'll give you a shout out. If you have any questions, want to know what my opinion is on some topics, feel free to send them in. Like I said, my goal is to make this definitely a fan engagement series. And once again, just want to thank you for your time. Hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I will see y'all here soon at the end of the weekend. Thank you.